The Tesla Model Y has been recently crowned the world's best-selling car model, not for EV, not for SUV, but for cars in general. So the success of the Model Y has prompted many other automakers to churn out their own iteration to fight against this very popular model. And from China, we got this. This is, of course, the Xpeng G6 Hail, from a relatively new car brand that just turned 10 years old this year, which is quite new for a car brand. The Xpeng G6 promises to offer a very compelling specs compared to the Tesla Model Y. So in today's video, we're going to show you why X is better than Y. Ngongyo Mokles, Fuji Laito Caricarzs. Hey! Positioned as the brand's mid-size SUV contender, the Xpeng G6 boasts a very sporty coupe SUV body style, and in terms of dimension, it's very closely related to the Tesla Model Y, both being the mid-size SUVs. Okay, in terms of design, at the front here, you get this Xpeng robot face featuring this slim LED DRLs, which also act as a turn signal, matched by same slim LED taillights at the back. And the actual headlight is actually located down here, which is a very typical thing for many Chinese automakers to do. But the Mac Daddy of these guys, of course, it's coupe SUV body style, which comes with this very sexy, very sporty roofline that goes all the way to the back. And these things actually combined with the flush door handles, not just for style, because it gives the Xpeng G6 a low coefficient drag weight of only 0.248, allowing this car to have a better driving performance and, of course, range performance too. What's also cool about the Xpeng G6 lies on the wheels design, because this 20-inch alloy unit comes with this stylish multi-spoke design and then are not enclosed like many other EVs out there. And it also uses this Michelin Pilot Sport EV type, which is quite premium offering for a sub 200,000 ringgit car. And speaking of premium, this thing is also premium, which is it comes with frameless doors for all 4 doors, which is very, very, very cool. Okay, as we get inside the Xpeng G6 interior, you can see it comes with this typical borderline generic Chinese EV front dash layout, but somehow the car feels a bit more premium, a bit more fresh compared to other Chinese EVs we've tested before. Okay, starting with the digital cockpit setup, you get this 14.96-inch central infotainment display that supports wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and even streaming services such as YouTube and Spotify. Yes, you heard that right, this car comes with YouTube. And you're also complemented by this small 10.25-inch digital display cluster, which looks very nice, but unfortunately, no head-up display is available here. But adding the touch of luxury and premium feeling to this car is actually the choice of material, because it is decked with this leather material, which is very nice, especially the seats here, which are not only powered, heated, but also ventilated with memory function for the driver's side. And the front desk layout also comes with the same leather material, which I think it looks nice in this all black, but there's also a grey color option if you choose so. And other than that, other tech amenities found in this rather premium SUV include these 2 wireless charging trays. You got multiple USB charging support down here, and if you look up, there's this full panoramic glass roof, but unfortunately it comes with no sunshades or any kind of blinds, so it can get hot at times. And the car comes with an 18-speaker Xpeng X Opera sound system, which sounds pretty good, especially for the car's price. And thanks to its strictly 5-seater seating layout, you can see the Xpeng G6 boasts tons of space at the back seat here. Not only you get ample legroom here, but surprisingly, headroom is quite good also despite the car's sporty roofline design. And besides dedicated aircon vents and 2 USB charging ports, rear passengers also get built-in armrests here. And more importantly, the back seat can actually reclinable, so giving you an extra degree of comfort, especially for long distance travel. And not to forget, the boot space is also quite decent, measuring 571 liters as standard and expandable to over 1,300 liters. So for your travels, no worry, the Xpeng is a perfect EV for you and your family. Well, nothing to see here, because not only the Xpeng G6 does not come with a front trunk, unfortunately, it also powered by a rear-mounted single electric motor setup rated at 255 horsepower and 414 Nm of torque in this 580 Pro Geyser. So 0 to 100 takes about 6.6 seconds. Vmax is about 200 kilometers, which is quite high. Okay, in terms of battery though, this spec of the G6 uses a 66 kWh LFP type battery pack that grants it with up to 435 kilometers of WLTP EV range. Charging is rated at 215 kW for DC, allowing this car to go from 10 to 80% in just 20 minutes, which is quite fast actually. Well, enough talk, let's drive this car, shall we? Alright, so now we're driving the Xpeng G6 580 Pro Standard Range model here, and the first thing you immediately notice when you're driving this car is how much smooth and refined it is compared to other Chinese EVs we've driven before. Okay, this is especially true when you drive this car in standard or eco mode, where the car just glides rather smoothly on roads and pavement and even rough terrains or surfaces, which goes to show that this car's suspension setting is more on the softer side, which is pretty good and is what you exactly want for a family-oriented mid-size EV SUV like this. But once you engage this car in sports mode though, of course this car has only got a single motor setup, so there's not really much power change difference or there, but you at least get a heavier steering feel, and of course the brake pedal feels a bit more sensitive once you engage in the sports mode, and which allows you to have a pretty stellar driving dynamics. And even if I drive this car in fast corners and everything, the car feels very confident and feels pretty planted even for a mid-size EV SUV that's quite heavy actually, because this car weighs about 2,000 kilograms, so 2 tons. That's not a lightweight car, but it feels quite good. But what surprises me is actually the suspension setup, because according to Xpeng, the G6 uses a double wishbone suspension setup, which is something unheard of, not even in family EVs, but also in a car in this price bracket. Because double wishbone, you can actually find those things in sports car like Ferraris, Porsches, and even the Mazda MX-5 Miata. And to think that the Chinese managed to fit a double wishbone setup in this supposed family-friendly EV SUV is something quite interesting, to say the least. And it actually shows in how the car behaves and drives in corner, because the car just feels very nice. Yes, the suspension is on the softer side, which is good because you want comfort, but at the same time it really helps you to have a little bit of fun, but not too much fun, of course, because this is still a very heavy car, so be careful with that. Okay, in terms of noise, vibration, harshness, NVH level is quite good. Even this car has a frameless door, but thanks to the double glazed windows, minimal wind noises can be detected. But unfortunately, once you go beyond the highway speed, you can start to notice some minimal tire roars. Well, that's the downside of using performance-biased tires like the Michelin Pilot Sport EV here. But of course, well, I can nitpick here. Maybe the steering EPS system feels a little bit disconnected at times. Maybe the brake sensitivity could have been better. The brake regen could have been a lot better, because the regen is quite weak in this car. But I have to say, for the overall package, I have to say the Xpeng G6 managed to strike a perfect balance between comfort, family-friendly, and at the same time you can still have a bit of fun in this supposed family-friendly EV SUV, which is quite good. And so much so, I think this is easily the best Chinese EV SUV I've ever tested so far. So, good job, Xpeng. Alright, while the Xpeng G6 can entice the international markets when it comes to driving dynamics and its luxury package, the same cannot be said with the car's ergonomics, because like many other Chinese EVs we've tested, it feels a bit disjointed and a bit off here and there. But of course, the most jarring thing is actually, of course, the lack of any physical buttons and controls for the most mundane and the most basic controls of the car. For example, if you want to control the climate, you need to open it with a screen, because there are absolutely no physical buttons for you to control. And even something mundane like adjusting the position of your aircon vents needs to be done via the screen. And of course, we haven't talked about all the driving settings, the ADAS function, everything. Most of them, I think like 90% of them are embedded inside the infotainment, which can be quite dangerous and quite lousy to use, dare I say, because yes, when you're flying like 90 to 100 kilometers per hour on highways, you don't expect people to shift their focus entirely to the screen just to change some setting, because that can be quite dangerous. But this thing is actually been plaguing most modern cars, not even the Chinese ones. But it's good for me. I think you still need to have some buttons, at least for the essential stuffs and whatnot. But at least I would say credit to Xpeng, because they mitigate this by putting up some shortcut sliders in the screen, so at least for something you can actually access it rather easily. But I have to say, buttons prevail over screens, so please take note of that, Chinese automakers. Okay, other than that, of course, due to the car's sporty design, you can see blind spot can be a bit tricky, but fortunately this car comes with a 360 camera view with a transparent hood mode where it shows the undercarriage part of the car, so meaning that you would absolutely find no problem in parking this car. But of course, if you still need some help with parking the car. This car also comes with auto parking function with advanced parking assist. But I have to say, most of us wouldn't even bother to try that because we somehow feel more confident with our own eyes than using the car's automated functions. But other than that, in terms of ADAS on the other hand, I have to say commendment to the Xpeng, because compared to other Chinese, the Xpeng X Pilot ADAS suite works pretty well. It feels less jarring, less finicky, less twitchy compared to other Chinese cars we've tested, which is quite good. And at the same time, I have to complain just a bit more because on the steering front, because usually in most cars, most of the ADAS I think you can access using the steering, but the steering wheel, in an attempt to go for the minimalist design, you can see there are not many ADAS specific buttons, which can be hard to engage some of the functions. But of course, the other jarring thing is that the steering does not come with the paddle shifter, which I would say is very cool, very good thing to have in EVs, because usually paddle shifters in EVs are reserved to control the regenerative braking level. But of course, in this car, you need to access the screen. So yes, like I said earlier, the car has some goods, but I think maybe it's overtly futuristic, overly ambitious thing to be like the Tesla Model, which of course, like the Tesla, everything is controllable using the screen. I would say the Xpeng G6 misses out a bit on its quite quirky ergonomics, especially for traditional car owners or car drivers like me and the rest of the world outside of China probably. So it's a bit of a shame, but then again, it's not too bad, at least not as bad as what we experienced in Teslas and other Chinese EVs out there. So, with all the goods and bads already being said, do I still think the Xpeng G6 is a better car compared to the Tesla Model Y? Well, to be honest, if you ask me, I would say yes, simply because of its very fresh looking design and subjectively better compared to the Tesla Model Y that is a bit aging if you ask me honestly. And the premium interior space featuring tons of luxury amenities and cabin space for 5 passengers. And of course, in terms of driving dynamics, ride and comfort as well. Okay, with that being said, for 165,000 ringgit for this baseline 580 Pro variant, the Xpeng G6 is a no-brainer choice for those who are in the market for a premium mid-size EV SUV for you and your family. But of course, in the grand scheme of things, it is really hard for small new guys like Xpeng to go directly against the likes of Tesla Model Y, the giants and whatnot, because let's face it, at the end of the day, Tesla is going to keep selling more and more Model Ys around the world, and we get to see more and more Model Ys coming into our market. But fortunately, thanks to small people like Xpeng and many other Chinese brands out there, at least you and I have more array of choices to choose from instead of choosing it from a one very typical brand. So it's a testament. Habis itu je.